All right, and three, two, one. So, this is the first episode of my podcast, everybody. I have this lovely girl in front of me, and I'm going to let her introduce herself because I know she's got a name, but she's also got a YouTube name. So, I'm
Yes.
going to let her introduce herself. So,
Oh, I
take it
didn't know that
away.
was. I didn't know that was on the agenda.
You do.
All right. So my name's Tony. Um, Despite the sound of it, I'm actually Asian, and I have a YouTube name as well, as you mentioned, which is Flutecookies. Yes. What?
Check it out. It's pretty good.
It's all right. Like I started the YouTube channel for fun
Mhm.
in the beginning because I was really into anime music.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
what
so
would.
I just,
No, go on.
I just did like a lot of popular anime songs back then because it was like cover songs were popular
Yeah.
a few years ago. Yeah, and
So, what would you
that's
say
it.
as you were growing up? What was your top three favorite anime that you just like couldn't get enough of? That you were just sitting there waiting for the new episode every single week?
Mm, uh, Probably One Piece was one because I grew up with that anime and it's still going. Naruto is a classic as well. And then the third one is probably Hunter x Hunter.
I
Have you
agree
seen that
with.
one?
I agree with. Uh, two out of three of those.
So
Naruto,
what's
like old
the
school
what's
Naruto, was my shit. Old school Naruto was like,
Yeah, it's awesome.
and so like when you first told me, that you did that cover for on your YouTube channel, and I was like,
Oh yeah.
because I don't think I've ever told you this, but I've seen that video of you doing that that cover, but I never
The
knew
Naruto one. Yeah.
the Naruto one, but I never knew it was someone within our area, and I didn't know it was someone that was like that I know that I would like
Oh,
I sort of have like connections with.
connections.
Yeah.
So you saw that before you
Oh, I literally
got
was
to know him?
scrolling through like Facebook, and I was just scrolling through it, and I was like, "Oh shit, it's Naruto." Oh, okay. Oh shit. Okay, cool.
That's interesting.
Yeah. And then One Piece
Oh,
was
okay.
my. It's still my shit because I just checked before.
It's so good.
I just checked before we came on. There's no new
Oh,
chapter this week. I'm really sad about it.
no spoilers. Because I usually leave it and I don't watch it for like a year and then I'll binge watch it.
Oh, so you
That's what
watch
I do.
the anime, or do you watch the manga?
Yeah, I usually watch anime.
Oh, I
That's
see.
why I got into anime openings because I watched the anime.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
See, because Hunter x Hunter, I've never been like I knew it was big and I knew
Oh,
it was a thing, but I think it was the character, like the look of the characters that didn't really like intrigue me. But like in
oh
Naruto, like
yeah.
Jiraiya, he is my guy. The only person that has to fucking
I
die.
wonder why.
Spoilers alert. Like the person that has
Oh
to
no.
fucking die. Like out of the whole entire thing, everyone got brought back. Fucking Kakashi came back, and they were like, "Nah, we're gonna kill your guy." I'm like, "Fuck." And then One Piece,
It's okay, they
I
killed my guy as well.
dedicated Neji.
Yeah. It's very
Uh,
sad.
yeah, I was like, I don't know, I don't know. Yeah, so I was just
You
like,
probably didn't
"Fuck you,
care that
Kakashi."
much.
I didn't really like Neji that
You're
much
like, eh.
because he didn't.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I'm not
It,
surprised.
it's like it. If you really think about it, it really is just like a gay relationship between Sasuke and Naruto. Like, basically, everyone's
Yeah,
like,
you're
"Stop
not wrong.
chasing him," and he's like, "No, he's my friend." I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude! Like, you have
I
so many other
know.
friends. Like, you're friends with
I
like everyone
know.
else.
No, he just has to have that one.
Yeah. And then what did he get out of
Yeah.
it? Like, I tried. I dabbled in Boruto, and dear Lord, it
I see.
was
I didn't watch it.
it just makes my entire childhood like it almost like it just goes. It's
Did it
like
ruin it for you?
yeah, it's like oh here's a pretty here's a pretty like cotton candy that you've been making for the past 10 years. Here, have it. Oh
Oh
wait,
my gosh.
that guy's gonna shit on you like right now, and you're like, oh god, oh, it's just not it's not very good. I don't know where they're going
I
with it.
suspected that, so I didn't watch it.
And then
But
like they're not coming up with any new plot or any new.
mm,
They just grab like they're straight up like grabbing new, old ones. I'm sure
mm,
like so
yeah,
essentially so
yeah.
what happened was I watched an episode where they were doing the exam and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? It's the same thing.
Oh, right, right, yeah, yeah.
It was the
But
written
just different
exam
characters.
with different. Well, they're still the same character because they essentially drew them the same.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true.
You still got like the Naruto. You still got like the Sasuke. Now it's a girl. You still got like either what's that
Mm,
team? The team with Asuma, the one with
I
Ino,
forgot.
Chochi, and
Shikamaru.
Shikamaru. Yeah,
Shikamaru.
the three like family
Yeah.
team. And then they're just like, what the fuck? And then guess what the test was? Guess what the first test is? I'll give you one guess.
I forgot.
It's the fucking
Like,
writing exam again.
what was the first time?
The fucking writing exam.
Oh.
And I was just like, guys, come on, we can do better than this. But obviously they couldn't.
They just changed it up a bit.
Well,
Like copied everything, but just changed it up a bit.
yeah. So what was your first?
Yeah, I think you'll like Hunter x Hunter.
Oh, you
But
think
yeah,
so?
yeah, I
Okay.
think you should definitely like try it. It's really good,
Oh, okay.
despite what it looks like.
Yeah. It. I don't know if it's the same author, but for some reason it reminds me of Yo Yo Hakusho from the 90s.
I'm not sure what you mean.
You know the one, you know the anime with the kid wearing a green Japanese high school um uniform, and then his power is like this like pistol like energy ball, and he shoots it like this.
Really?
I'll send it
I
to you.
don't think I've seen it.
I'll send it to you
Oh
later.
my gosh.
Yeah, but anyway, so what was
Okay.
your first anime opening that you either learned or recorded?
It was Tokyo Ghoul, I
Okay,
think.
that's pretty recent, isn't it?
There's a second season of Tokyo Ghoul. I did the first one.
Okay,
It was
and
either that or Spirited Away. Yeah, either one.
yeah, I think Spirit Away was like one of my first like animated like theme that I learned as well.
Yeah, it's
Just
a
hits you,
classic. It's good.
just hits you in the
Yeah,
feels, all the feels.
that's true.
Yeah. Okay. And then so for those obviously this is only the first episode, but um actually Tony and I went to the same university and we grew up in the same city. I would say, yeah, yeah, we grew up in the same city, and then we met about a year, maybe almost 2 years ago. We're basically associates, I guess. Would you say? Are we friends yet? Maybe colleagues? I don't know. What would you want to call us?
Bit of both,
How's my?
I guess. Both.
Where am I? But I thought it
Same,
was
I
a
think. Like 50-50.
50-50. Yes, because I thought
Well, I
um
mean, like, I still can't get over the fact that we were in the same year in uni,
yeah.
but I never like met you, which is really weird.
Did you ever see me?
I don't think I did. That's a weird thing because it's not the con is not that big. It's just one building,
Yeah. I I
so
was a little
it's
fatter back
weird.
then as well. I was real chunky back then.
Still, like,
I don't know.
I would have like remembered or something.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. You probably the only time you would probably see me, but then like, see what interests me is that we basically had the same subject in year one and two, or maybe not year two, but definitely year one. Like all
Yeah,
the yeah. But anyway, so I guess you don't really know everyone yet. I don't really know everyone yet. Yeah. But so one thing I
yeah, it's a
thought
bit weird.
that it was going to be good for us to talk about, and I really want to get your side of the story, is that both of us are Australians, but we are also both from Taiwan. And I don't know about Tony, but I am
Mm-hmm.
100. I was born in Taiwan, and I was in Taiwan for
Mm.
uh, a good amount of my life. So I was in Taiwan until about year like grade four, school grade four, and then I went down, and then our family went down to Melbourne, and then in Australia, Melbourne,
Oh,
Australia,
okay.
and then I studied there for like a semester or 2 semesters, and we went back to Taiwan, and then we tried Brisbane the next time, and then mom and dad liked the weather a lot more. They didn't like the cold that much, so they wanted to stay somewhere bit warmer. So Brisbane became the place, and then
Mm-mm-mm.
we ended up I ended up being proper staying in proper move to Brisbane when I was in grade five, grade six. But
Mm-hmm.
after that, every Christmas time, I would go back to Taiwan, and because essentially we have
Yeah.
Christmas and we have the New Year, and then followed by the Chinese New Year. So like it was a big festivity that like my family made sure like we always go back and see families and things like that. But I don't know about you. What
Yeah.
was your story like? 3, 2, 1. Okay. Technical difficulty. So let's try this again. So so I
Happens.
just wanted to know what was your um sort of what was your growing up like as a Taiwanese in Australia? So were you born here?
No, I was born in Taiwan.
Yeah. And then did you do like the back and forth?
Yeah, but I moved a lot earlier than you. So I think I moved like when I was 2 years old. And then we went to New Zealand first
Oh.
for a couple of years,
Okay.
and then we moved to Brisbane in Australia.
Yeah. And
Yeah,
then do you speak Mandarin at all?
yeah, because my family can't. Well, my mom can speak English, but my dad can't at all.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
then
so I speak Mandarin with them at home.
are those the only two people you speak Mandarin to?
And my like family, like my relatives in Taiwan, but
Yeah.
that's like once a year, you know. So
How good is your Taiwanese? How good is your Taiwanese?
you mean my Taiwanese or you mean my Mandarin? My
Both.
Taiwanese? My Mandarin's like I think it's pretty good. Considering I've never done schooling there.
Mm.
But my Taiwanese is like non-existent.
So you don't understand it at all.
I understand little bits.
Yeah.
Because my parents used to talk in Taiwanese if they didn't want me to, you know, hear something or
Yeah.
yeah, if they wanted to talk about something behind
Talk
my
shit.
back. But
Talk
then
shit.
yeah, but then I started like being able to pick up stuff.
Yeah.
And then I'll tell them, "Oh, you just said this," and then they'll be like, "Oh shit, we can't speak, we can't talk in Taiwanese anymore."
Don't you think
Yeah,
I I've heard so many languages, but I think Taiwanese is one of the best language to talk shit to. It it if you know it so well, it just has a flow and a cadence to it. It
yeah.
it's like a
Have
it's
you
like a
seen have you seen those Taiwanese dramas in
yeah,
Taiwanese?
of course.
Like they're so like it's really funny.
Yeah. And
Like
then like
especially the part where they're swearing.
but like when they swear, it's not like English where you go "fuck you" and then like you're making a statement. But when
Yes.
they swear in Taiwanese, it's like I'm describing your entire family, all the way down to your fucking toes. Do you know what I mean?
That's Asian insult for you.
I know, and I'm like, and then I get a sense of like, obviously, if I'm not the one being yelled at, but I love. This is like a weird thing of me. I love listening to like a old grandpa in Taiwan, like just on the street and just like shouting at like some random
Oh.
person, and I'm like, yeah, yeah, you get him, yeah, you just keep going, and then they just like.
Where do you live in Taiwan? In Taipei?
I still live in Taipei. Mom and dad has a, I think mom and dad still has a place in Taiwan.
Oh, okay.
Oh, in Taipei,
Because
sorry.
if you want to hear like, local Taiwanese,
Yeah,
Taipei is not the place. Like you got to go to um
like the south.
like Keelung, yeah. And yeah,
Yeah, you just need to go
places
down to
like
the
that.
south, don't you?
Yeah, yeah. And it's a completely different world.
Yeah. So, what part of Taiwan are you from?
In Taipei, like we live in Taipei.
Oh, okay. So you're the same as well. Yeah, see,
Yes.
because my knowledge of Taiwan is restricted. It's sort of only Taipei and
Yeah, same
and
with
then
me.
Taichung, which is the next city down south. If memory serves me correctly.
I don't even know Taichung, so
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, same.
But yeah, so I don't know. Like, did you find growing up in Australia, but then going back during the end of the year, did you find that like there was such a big contrast to the way people think and the people do things, and then just like, or even just the way kids our age dressed back then?
Well, I mean, I didn't really get to interact with kids my age in Taiwan because
Mm-hmm.
I never did any schooling there.
Mm,
So it was only family that I've ever really interacted with.
yeah. So like
Um,
cousins and like
yeah,
sibling.
cousins.
Oh, you don't have siblings, do you?
No, I don't have siblings, so
Yeah. So you
it'd
just
just
like
be
cousins for
cousins
you.
and yeah, and like my aunties and uncles and
Mm,
yeah, like that.
yeah.
But like I always get that from like going to school in Australia and then coming back home. Because like when you go to school, it's like Australian culture, but then when
Mm,
you go back home, it's completely different.
yeah. And was
Yeah,
that tough for you? The way, because
yeah,
obviously ideologies would be different, and just sort of the way you think would be very different to the way your parents
yeah,
would
yeah, for
think as
sure.
well. Yeah.
Yeah, like there are a lot of things that like especially being a girl as well, like
Mm.
a lot of things I wasn't allowed to do and then a lot of my friends could do.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was younger, of course.
Yeah. Are we talking like
Yeah.
sports, or are we talking
Um
like dates, going out with the boys?
oh yeah, that's definitely one. That's like I don't think I was allowed to until like even in uni. Like even when I got to uni, it was still
Nah, get out of
a
here.
bit.
Really?
Yeah, like
Oh shit.
I think because I'm the only child, so my
Yeah.
parents had a lot of difficulty learning how to let me grow up, kind
Yeah.
of thing.
What about like
Um,
drivers driving? Were they did because I knew it.
oh yeah,
No, is
driving
that?
as well.
I'll give you one example. Like I had a friend. She was the only child as well. She's Lebanese. Her
Okay,
parents were pretty nice. Her parents were like nice people. But like the shit she would tell us was fucking just like mind blowing,
intense,
intense. Like I
right?
thought Asian parents are strict with their daughters. I know that
Mm-hmm.
there's a bit of a sexism going on, but like I think generally speaking, Taiwanese parents would sort of cradle their daughters a little bit more, whereas the the boys, they would just be like, you need to fucking grow up soon, ASAP, so you can get your shit together and get some work done or whatever. At least that's how my parents sort of
Yeah. Yeah.
raised my sister and I.
Yeah.
And then, but like this girl, this friend of mine, she was like, oh yeah, I can't drive. Well, I'm like, but you have a driver's license. She's like, yeah. I'm like, didn't you buy a car? Yeah, I did. Well,
But she can't drive.
she wasn't driving to anywhere. She's not driving to socialize. She can't drive to university. And you
Oh.
know, like in Australia, like if you don't live near a train station, it's basically like impossible for you to get to
Oh yeah. It's
like
yeah.
the
It's hard.
campus. You need to have a car. And she was like, no, I can't. So my mom has to drop me. And then so like the next step, the when the parents started easing on the restriction, it was you can you can you still can't drive to the campus, but you can carpool with a friend. It can either be a girlfriend or it can be a nominated guy friend that we approve and we think is responsible. And I happen to be one of them.
Oh.
And then she's like, you need to just take me
Oh
out.
my
I was
gosh.
like, but like we were at two universities. I was at the one you're at, and then she was at the
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
across
Yeah.
the river.
QUT.
Yeah.
Oh my
And I was
gosh.
just like, are you fucking serious? Like, this is crazy. But then, like, you get used to it. But then, and then it made me realize, like, oh, okay, like Asian parents, maybe they're not as bad as I thought. But yeah,
I
there's just
think
some
it also depends on the. It depends on each individual like family as well. I guess.
yeah.
Like, I wasn't allowed to go to Well, I didn't attend my formal.
Excuse me. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
What was the reason?
Yeah.
Let me drink this water.
Well, I mean, like, um, it was like half half. Like, half the reason was I didn't want to go anyway, but I don't think my
Come
mom.
on, you wanted to go. You wanted to go.
No, I actually didn't want to. I mean, now that I think about it, like maybe I should have, but I think even if I did want to,
Tell me your story.
I
Why didn't you want to go?
um I was kind of like really closed off in high school. Like I just had two or three friends, and they were like music nerds like me.
Mm.
So I didn't see the appeal of going, and I wasn't really like into dressing up and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was really tomboy.
Wouldn't that make you even want to go and just hang out with the guys? Oh wait, tomboy, because
No,
uh,
well,
you
I
just
don't know.
weren't
I just like,
interested.
yeah, I just wasn't interested.
Yeah.
Yeah,
What about so? What was your parents' story then? Too dangerous, drugs for some reason.
yeah, they probably like
mm-hmm.
the first time I actually went to something like that was I think I don't know maybe second year uni
Mm-hmm.
or something.
Yeah.
And I went to a ball with my friend, like a physio ball.
Oh, okay.
So I was like, I don't know, 22, something like that. Like it's
Mm-hmm.
pretty grown up, but my mom was really worried. I was just going to a ball.
Isn't that just like? Isn't those balls just sort of like very tame? I don't know
It's
actually.
yeah, it's
I've
super
never.
tame. It's really
Yeah.
tame. And she was so worried.
Mm. Like I
Yeah.
wasn't the biggest like. I wasn't into like the drinking stuff, but I was all I wanted to do when I was in high school and university was just hang out with my friends. Like we could just even just sit at home and just talk shit, and I'll be happy.
Yeah.
Like I wanted that, but like I don't know. I
Were you
didn't.
allowed to?
Yeah, my parents like because the thing was
Oh,
um I like I'm a natural introvert.
right. Yeah.
Like I can just stay home and not speak to anyone for like a week. So like during this time, like it made me realize I'm actually an introvert because for anyone that doesn't know this is recorded during the coronavirus. This is May 2nd, 2020. Just letting everyone know. But anyway,
How
going
true.
back to it, but like I was just like, oh yeah, I'm fine. Like when I came back from overseas back to Australia, you have to do the lockdown. So I did the lockdown, and I was just like, yeah, it's fine.
Mm.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
And they're like,
Yeah.
oh, how are you going? Like my friends were like, are you bored? You must be so bored. I'm like, oh no, like I have Netflix. I have
Yeah. Yeah.
I have my
That's like me
PlayStation. I
as
have my
well.
games. I'm fine. I'm good.
Yeah.
But like the funny thing that a friend of mine noted noticed as well was that even though I'm a introvert, this was my housemate back in when I lived in UK. But she was saying, she was like, you are such an extrovert, but you can also be an introvert, which is really weird. And I was like, oh, okay, because like I guess I can go both ways.
Ambivert.
Is that what you call it?
That's the name for it. You can look
It-
it up.
There's so many names for everything these days. I don't know, but like obviously,
Ambivert.
like if I had to choose, obviously I wouldn't mind spending time with my friends, like actual
Mm.
friends. But like at
Yeah.
the same time, like cooking at home and just like eating ice cream while watching like Avengers or something doesn't sound too bad either. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. Like my parents never. So because of that, my parents never put a restriction on me because I hardly ever went out. And plus, like
Oh,
I
right.
and plus like I wasn't that cool. Like I wouldn't like I get invited to like some parties, but um I wouldn't get invited to all the parties, especially like the ones that
Mm.
involved in like the sports people. I was like, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
I guess. Yeah.
But luckily, like the school I went to, like thank God my parents put me there because that school was just like at least my year, and then the year like within my year. So like the couple years above me, couple years below me, it had like a really strong group of musicians. So like
Mm.
every essentially like Monday to Friday, I was at school early doing like rehearsals or practice and things like that. So it was just so much fun. And then so like I had a good group of
That's
friends
good.
there. Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
really good. But yeah, so because of that, I never really went out. And then when I was able to work, I was like, oh yeah, I just want to get some money, and I don't have to keep asking my parents. Because the one thing I hated growing
Yeah.
up, I don't know about you, but one thing I hated was that um if I want to go to the movies and see like the new like I don't know the whatever movie, I have to like a ask my parents to drop me off, or and b ask for that $20 to
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
get the ticket and then the popcorn and then the drink. And I was like,
Yeah.
I hated that because like my parents a would make me feel like shit. They're like, you're so useless. Like, come on, get your shit together. I'm like, God, I'm only fucking 14.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, so yeah, I ended up just working a
It's
lot during the weekends, and then yeah, so I think my parents basically like knew that naturally I didn't enjoy going out, and I much prefer to stay at home. So every time I would
mm.
go out, they'd be like, oh, okay, fine. Whereas like my sister was a
Same.
little bit different, but that's another story.
Oh gosh.
Mm. But
Maybe she
yeah,
had like a similar experience to me. Maybe.
I,
I don't
I
know.
I would say so. I would say so. Yeah, but yeah, it's yeah, it's interesting that like growing up in two, I don't know if it's complete opposite, but in two very different culture, because I'm constantly like
Mm.
going back and forth. Like
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
I sort of developed this uh, acting ability, maybe you call it that, or just a persona. Like I would have one persona when I'm at home. I would have one persona when I'm at school. I would have one
Mm.
persona when I'm with outside of school with my friends, and I would have another persona like when I'm with my family back in Taiwan. And it's just like you're just like going forth and back and forth. And I don't know, maybe yours was a little bit easier because you're the only child, and maybe you didn't want to go out. But like I don't know, did you felt like you need to like put an act, put a front out?
Um. Not so much a front. I think I just often get confused. Like, you know, why are things different
Hmm.
compared to someone else? Like, I'd compare a lot to other families.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I remember in uni, I wasn't allowed to go out as well. Like even
Hmm.
in uni, because my mom would always be like, if you have the time to go out, then you should be practicing.
Oh shit.
And my friends would be like, hey, you know what? It's like after exams or it's holidays, we're just gonna go and chill and have bubble tea. And
Yeah.
I'll be like, oh, I really want to go. Um, and my mom would be like, well, everyone's partying right now. This is when you should be doubling down and practicing more.
Shit.
Like,
Real Asian
I
spirit.
was like, okay.
Did you ever rebel back?
So not until like after uni.
Oh, really?
So
So like
I
now?
went through that. Yeah, like I don't know when I was like 23, 24, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I went through that a lot later than everyone else. I think
Mm.
because I don't have siblings, so like I'm
Their
the
attention's all at
first.
you.
Yeah, it's all on me. And then like if you're the second kid, I think you have it a little bit easier because usually like the parents will be a bit more chill
Yeah.
when it gets to the second kid. But
Yeah.
yeah, I have like the worst combination, like Asian, female, and only child. So
What's that Taiwanese saying? The
it was
first
bad.
child you raise it as according to the book, and then the second child you raise it like a pig or something.
What? I haven't heard of that, but that sounds like
It's like
yeah, that sounds
第一
about
个
right.
照书养，第二个像猪养 or something like that.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
raising your sisters raised like a pig. I mean, you like you pretty
She
much like
wasn't.
just said that yourself.
Well, I'm yeah, I set it up, my bad. But like my parents were my parents were fine. Like mom was the constant one. Dad traveled back and forth for work all the time. So we
Okay.
didn't see him like probably like at the peak of his work, we didn't see him like probably like for 6 months, and he would come back. And it was
Oh.
another weird like adjustment you've got to make. And
Mm.
I've learned that as I'm getting older and living with other people, like even just because they're your parents doesn't mean that like they're not your housemate. Because I'm essentially looking at my parents as like housemates now. Because
Yeah.
like if I look at it like that, it makes things a bit clearer or a bit simpler. I don't know. Because like I realized that like both my parents have very different way of getting up in the morning, very different way of what they want to eat or how they want to like uh do like perform their daily routine. You know,
Mm.
like for example, like mom really likes going for a walk at night because it's a lot cooler, whereas dad wants to go for a walk during the morning because it's the first thing, so he wants to go and just like get out of the way or like wake up or whatever. Whereas me, I just want to get a cup of coffee before I wake up. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. So I don't know. Like it's very very interesting living with your parents during this time while you are so used to living out by yourself.
Mm.
Yeah, during this lockdown.
Yeah. Have you lived out by yourself
Yeah.
much? Oh,
So
I guess other than I mean like in Australia, because I guess you were overseas for a bit.
yeah. So in my last year of the con, I was out by myself. Um, and then my 1 year at the other university doing my education degree, I was out by myself, and then plus the 2 years out in UK, so that's 4 years living out by myself, and
Okay.
that brings us to now.
Yeah.
Yeah, um, yeah, and hopefully, like once coronavirus finishes, I can try and find a place, but then I gotta find a job first. Oh,
You prefer living out?
oh, 100%. Oh,
And
like
why is
without
that?
a doubt.
I
Um,
think I think I do too, but yeah, I want to hear what you have
there's
to say.
let me say the good things living with with my family is that I can a that like um the because for me I think a big thing is like for my family anyway is like how we eat, because essentially like
Mm.
my parents, they have to eat 3 meals, whereas
Mm.
like I ever since I've been in UK I started fasting. like the intermediate
Mm.
inter.
Intermittent fasting.
Yeah, that's it. So I
Yeah.
started essentially. I just said I'm fasting. I started fasting, and then so that would mean that like I would only eat like 6 hours of the day, and then not eat
Right.
18
Yeah.
hours of that 24 hours, and then it worked for me because just the way I am, and then I just didn't want to eat that much. Whereas my parents like
Yeah.
they have to eat the 3 meals, and being Asian, like they need to eat. Like they
Yeah. I
don't
think
eat it.
that's an Asian thing too.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't need to eat like a big meal, but they need to have something, and they need to like, and obviously like you would know that like to them like eating as a family is not just like swiping your phone and doing this and that. It's like sitting down, you're
Mm.
having a meal, and you're like chatting or whatever, and it's a big thing.
Yeah.
It's almost like
It
it's
is.
almost like oh, I guess Italians are like that as well. French people is like are like that as well. Like,
Yeah.
but like my Australian friends here, they just like they're like, oh yeah, mom already ate. I'm gonna cook. I'm gonna make toast, and I'm like, you're eating toast for dinner? Jeez, that's cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
um,
It is. It is really different.
yeah. So one thing that I definitely am struggling with with living with my parents is the eating part. I mean, it's a minor thing. The other thing is privacy. Because my
Mm-hmm.
parents are not very good at giving their children privacy.
Yeah. That's the same with me.
Yeah. Um, like I don't mind during this time when I'm like obviously at the moment I'm jobless. Like I don't mind helping around the house, and I actually am happy to do jobs around the house. But like it's when I have a job and I have to like go to work and I come back, and then like my
Mm.
parents like still need me to help around the house because I have a sister. So my parents would ask my sister to do a different job, like a job that's more like maybe like an office type of job or like something like type of things like that. And then so yeah, I find that a little bit annoying as well. So privacy,
Mm.
diet, oh, privacy, eating, and then um the one thing, the last thing is that um I need to like I need to announce to them like what I'm doing for the next few days,
Okay. So they
and
can like plan things out or
so they
something.
can plan like their
Yeah.
life
Yeah. Yeah.
around it, or they can somehow like inter interweave like my schedule into theirs or their schedule into mine. So I'll give you one
Yeah.
for example. Like, say if they say, "Oh, what are you doing for the next 2 days?" and I say, nothing today, and maybe I'll go this place the next day. Oh, what are you doing there for? Oh, just like for work or seeing a friend or whatever it might be. It could be social, it could be work. Um, and I'll be like, oh, okay. And then like, so this would be like in the morning, and then at nighttime they'll be like, oh, okay. So when you go to that place, like, can you pick up X, Y, and Z? And I was like,
Mm.
it's
It's
fine,
fine.
but like,
Yeah.
it's also something that you can do as well. But they're like, but
Yeah.
you're going anyway. I'm like, yeah, I am going, but like, it's like, why do you need me? Because like, why
Yeah.
do you like? I'm like, do you need it soon? They're like, oh no, it's not like, it's not a big thing. But if you're there, you might as well get it. I'm like, if it's not a big thing, then why am I even getting it? I don't know. It sounds really bizarre when I'm saying it out loud, or
Yeah,
like,
no,
or
no.
it makes it
It's like
sound
the
like
little thing.
I'm just like complaining. But it's like little things. Whereas
Yeah,
like if I'm
yeah.
living out by myself, um,
You just have the flexibility, like, you know,
yeah,
just do whatever, whenever
yeah,
kind of
and
thing.
then so yeah, so, and then I also just enjoy like having the entire house being completely silent.
Do you like that?
I like silence.
Oh,
Yeah. So like,
that's interesting.
and
I
my
get like
entire
a bit
family just
spooked.
shouts the Asian
Oh, okay,
style.
all right. Maybe that's why.
Like I remember I had a friend coming over, like the one of my first friend coming over from school just to like hang out or whatever, and then like we were upstairs just playing games or something, and then like suddenly like I think dad like shouted from downstairs, and he was like, my friend was like, "Are you in trouble?" I'm like, "No. Dad just want to see if you want lunch." But like to
All
him, is
right.
he's probably like, he probably heard like,
Yeah, 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 yeah,
and
yeah,
then me
yeah,
replying, and then my
yeah.
friend is just like mortified and like, "Is this how you live?" I'm like, "Yes, it is."
There's
That's a affirmative. But what about you?
right,
I'm,
yeah.
I'm I'm doing so much talking, but like, what about you? Do you find benefits and advantages and disadvantages living at home?
Well, I mean, yeah, because I had a curfew until I was like 24, 23.
Mm,
So, yeah, I was really happy to move out
mm,
in the beginning. Um, yeah, I guess now that like I've moved back in, it's easier,
mm.
like because they compromise more to me, and then like vice versa as well.
How did you get that?
But
Oh, sorry. Go on.
um, yeah, no, I was just gonna say like my, especially my dad is really similar as well. Like he'd want to know what my schedule is for
Mm,
like the next 2 days
mm,
and stuff. And sometimes you just like don't know, like things just happen last minute. But
mm.
yeah,
So,
so
how was that conversation between you and your parents when you said you're gonna move out?
um, I mean that's an entire another story because
Mhm.
I got kicked out. I got kicked out of the house. That's
You don't
like
have to. You don't have to
it's a huge
dive
story.
into it. You have to dive into it. It's
I mean,
fine.
I won't go into detail, but it's because like um I was dating this guy
Mm.
in uni that they didn't like.
Is it a guy I know?
Yes. So
Oh
it was
shit!
it was
We won't say his
it
name,
was
but
bad. It
oh
was bad.
shit!
It was like one of the most scariest times I've had
Mm,
in my life because I flew back from Taiwan because my parents wanted me, or my mum wanted me to stay in Taiwan,
mm.
like permanently to work. And this
In
was
Taiwan.
after I got that. Yeah, because I thought I was just visiting relatives. And
Mm.
then she got me to apply for jobs. And then she's like, you should just stay. Um, but like now I know, like she didn't want, she was trying to separate me and my,
Like
ex
that
boyfriend.
that previous boyfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't want to. But then she's like, okay, fine, but you can't live at home anymore. So I moved out the day, well, I got kicked out the day I landed back in Australia. And I had no job at the time, no job,
Did you just
and no
stay with him?
money. No, I didn't. No. I stayed with a friend for like a little bit and I moved into another friend's place.
Mm.
Yeah.
Shit. I didn't know there was a story
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, it's a long story, but it wasn't really a conversation.
Yeah. I can
Like
I can
it's
imagine that
just
conversation as well. I can imagine
yeah.
that that confrontation between
It
you and your parents, I guess.
it was bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like got back home and then all my stuff was already packed for me.
Without saying too much, was it just the idea of you, their daughter, their precious daughter, their only child daughter, like having a boyfriend? Or was it like we actually don't trust this guy, or we just don't like his personality, or whatever it might be?
I think it's more the latter,
Oh, okay. Oh
but
shit.
there is a little bit of the first one as well, I think.
Mm.
Like a bit of both, but I think leaning more towards
Yeah.
the second one. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Wow. Well, since
Yeah.
you've shared that story, let me share
It was
one. Um, I don't know. Like I've never, I never had a
I mean, you're a
like.
guy though. It's
But in all honesty, like um, I actually have never been in a serious long-term commitment relationship, and
right.
that's not because I don't want to. It's I don't know if it's because I've never met the right person, or because one thing, even till now, that I find hard is meeting people. And what I mean by that is like,
Mm,
I think a lot of times, a lot of people go, "Oh, I met this girl at a bar or at this club or at it's all got something to do with
yeah.
like a drinking. It's like a drinking situation. Whereas me growing up, and even till now,
I'm not a
I
fan of that kind
I
of
I'm not a fan of
activity,
it
but
either. Yeah,
yeah.
I never found a need to drink to be happy. I never found a need to drink to be happy. Like me being around my friends was enough for me to just have a high.
Mm,
I think I was more addicted to my friends, like the environment and the vibe my friend was my friends plural. I have more than one friend. Uh, I think I
just
was more.
slipped out, a friend.
uh, this is my friend, and his name's my phone, my iPhone. No, I think I was just
Yeah.
addicted to like that high, when you're with your friends, everyone's laughing, having a good time, and making jokes and like reminiscing or whatever you're doing. I just have so much fun when I'm with my friends. Like I'm never not happy when I'm with my friends, and that's why whenever they're like, "Oh, do you want to drink?" I'm like, "Oh no, I don't really need a drink." I mean, obviously, like my friends aren't alcoholics, but they appreciate a good drink, and also like I
Mm,
just don't like the taste of alcohol.
yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
Yeah. So when they're like, "Oh, get like a like I don't know a beer," I'm like, "Oh Jesus Christ, I don't want to drink a beer. It tastes fucking disgusting."
I know. I used to kind of be like that until I started working overseas in Japan in particular, because you might know, like, there's a huge drinking culture in Japan.
Mm,
And yeah, like, I kind of got into it because I was working there.
yeah. Tell me what that's
And
like working in Japan.
it's it's a lot of mixed things because
Well, let's start from the
I
beginning. Where
really,
did you?
yeah,
What city of Japan were you working in?
in Nagoya, which is like, it's between Tokyo and Kyoto, the two
Okay.
biggest cities. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's still
And
like a relatively big city, but it's not, tourists won't really go there kind of thing.
okay. And how long were you there for in Nagoya?
For a year.
1 year. Okay.
Yeah, 1 year, 1 year.
And you were working as.
An English teacher.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I taught English over there.
Hmm. What was the what did you find really what was that big shock to you when you started living and working in Japan?
I guess the working culture there. I mean, like, I
Mm,
always knew, like, kind of knew about it, like,
mm-hmm.
that Japan had a really intense working culture, but it was another thing to actually experience it.
Mm,
Yeah, so it's it's a really big change coming from Australia, which is really laid back.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it was like completely 360 degrees, like, different. Like, you're expected to make work your life basically,
Mm-hmm. Oh shit.
and like, you don't really get paid overtime, but you'll be expected to do a lot of extra things. Um, yeah, yeah, as part of your job.
For the good of the company or for the good of your personal reputation?
Um, I guess both.
Both?
Like,
Okay.
people are just used to working overtime
Mm,
there. Like, I think it's not often that people go home on time.
yeah.
Yeah, like, it's just expected. Like, that's the norm.
So tell me what was the longest shift or teaching hours you've done when you were in Japan in Nagoya? By the way, is it
Mm,
Nagoya or Nagoya?
I've heard both, actually.
What does the
I've actually
Japanese
heard
people
both.
say? Both.
I think Nagoya,
Nagoya. Anyway, so
but
what
I
was the
think Nagoya.
longest hour you were there for? Working and teaching for in one
Um,
day.
maybe like 10 hours,
Mm.
10, 11 hours. Um, yeah, which
So
is like it's really tiring.
so what? 7 o'clock start a.m.
Actually, we would start at 12 at midday.
Oh,
Yeah,
so you
and then
teach
go to
not
the night.
you teach
I
young adults or adults?
We were like an English school, so I didn't teach at normal schools, which is
Oh,
why I was
okay.
late because a lot of people came after work or after school.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
so what, like 12 till like 10 o'clock at night?
It was supposed to be like till 9, but sometimes we go, way over or something
Did you
like
ever
that.
do 12 to 12?
No, I don't think I did. But the job itself is really demanding because
Hmm.
we have to teach all ages, so like from baby until adults.
Until like 65, 70,
Yeah,
80.
yeah, like all ages.
Wow.
Um, and it would just be like hours and hours of non-stop talking. Like if I had a full class, it'd be 8 hours
Yeah.
of straight classes and talking. And like in the first few months, I like lost my voice because I wasn't used to it.
So when you were teaching as an English teacher in Japan, did you was the entire lesson taught in English, or did you have to swap between Japanese and English? Like, this is the English word for this, and this is the Japanese word for this.
No, so we spoke all in English, and we were only speaking English. Like we weren't allowed to speak in Japanese.
Uh huh.
Yeah,
Okay.
so you don't have to know how to speak Japanese to teach there.
Hmm. And what was the motivation for you to work in Japan?
Well, like I liked anime. So, I mean, I know it sounds a bit silly, but like I've always liked the culture.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think
so
a lot of us.
I want to experience that.
Yeah, I think a lot of us enjoy that culture. I think a lot of us was ingrained with
Yeah,
that culture. Because I mean,
yeah.
Japan was like the place to be when I was growing up. It's either that or Hong Kong. I mean,
Oh, yeah, true.
like, I don't want to shit talk the Koreans, but like Korea wasn't a thing. Like Korean, what I'm saying is Korean
Now,
culture
probably.
now it is, but like
Yeah.
when I was growing up, I don't know about you, in high school, primary school, even in like early university, like Korean culture wasn't a thing. Maybe it was in Taiwan, but definitely not in Australia. Like I was, and sort of the way my family operates, because I think I have a lineage of being I my religion, um I'm I'm Buddhist by religion, but this particular Buddhism is sort of like an off branch that came from Japan.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So like my dad's side was heavily involved in like a Japan, like a Japanese culture. So
Mm.
like maybe it was just me and my family, but like suddenly like when Korean culture came in, and I was like, oh, okay, this is
It's
different.
the thing now. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a thing now. Before it was like, like, oh, Japanese melt. Now it's like, oh, BTS, and like
Oh, yeah.
what's that other group, girl generation?
Blackpink.
I don't know. I
Oh,
don't
yeah,
know.
Girls' Generation. Yeah.
I don't fucking
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
Like that.
Yeah,
That's
you got it
that's
right.
that's my that's like that's
The
as far
limit
as I
of
go.
your.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
okay, that's good to know. So you just went pure because you love Japan and you wanted to like just get involved in that culture and that sort of environment.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and I've always wanted to like um try and work overseas
Mhm.
as an experience. So
Yeah,
of course I chose Japan.
yeah. Was
Yeah.
that knowing what you said to me about what you just told me about your parents and your family situation? How did they take it when you said you want to work overseas?
Oh, they loved it
Oh,
because like it all makes sense because I was going there alone without
you could
my
meet a nice Japanese boy like that, or you
well
could meet
I
a
was I
Japanese
was
sugar daddy.
I mean at the time I was still dating my ex-boyfriend.
Why? You're in Japan. Do whatever the
I
fuck you
know, like
want.
yeah.
Come on, come on, girl.
Yeah, I mean, yeah,
Oh,
I
you
know.
so you were
But
just like real loyal, like when you were in Japan.
yeah.
Oh man, if I was you, I'd be like, oh, well, this is gonna put on the pause. We're gonna put this on the pause.
Probably what I should have done.
That's right.
But
So
yeah.
so 1 year. So what made you come back?
Honestly, I would have stayed if the working conditions were better. I was actually just really physically tired
Yeah.
because we, like, on top of doing um, overtime,
Mm.
we only had 5 days a year to take off.
Oh shit.
And
Was that
even
during
with
like the
those five
Chinese New
days,
Year or the end of the Christmas time, or was that something you could take in any time of the year?
you can take it in between, like anytime. But
Mm-hmm.
they had like so many rules about like when you can and can't do it.
Mm.
Um, and you can't put all the 5 days together. So
Mm.
even if you did use them, you had to use them separately. So it would just be like really short breaks.
So you could essentially just take long weekends. You can just have like a long weekend. That's it.
Basically, yeah, long weekend or like that plus um the holidays that they have on top of that.
Like the labor holidays or whatever the version
Um,
it is for
the
them.
Japanese version of that, yeah,
Yeah. Oh, I
and
see.
yeah, basically
Wow,
that.
that's rough.
Yeah, it was really tiring,
I think.
and
No, sorry. Finish it. Sorry.
yeah, and then like with sick days, it's really different to Australian culture. Like we have sick days, but they don't. And when I was actually really sick, they wanted me to come back the next day.
Should have told him you got COVID.
So
You got the Rona.
it didn't exist back
I
then.
don't
But yeah,
know.
but yeah. So
I think I think my experience in UK in London, particular because I only worked in London, so I can't say anywhere else. But I think my experience in London was very similar to um, your experience in Japan. Like
it's a big city, right? So
it's a big
it must
city,
be.
but such a small land, like small space.
Yeah.
And similar to your working hours, like I was working there as a music teacher, and um, I was lucky enough, like in all honesty, like London or UK was never part of my sort of long term goal. Like I knew I wanted to work overseas, but UK was never something I considered. I
Mm.
I don't know. I I genuinely like felt I wasn't good enough to be working in UK because I was like,
Oh.
fuck, like people who go to UK are like, or in London are like, like like they get great like
Yeah.
grade A's, and then like they're like like for music they're like prodigies, for
Yeah.
or like they get recommended by like our professor, like, oh, this is the kid, like you want to get this kid or whatever, you want to perform or study there. And so like I think because just and then obviously like my family also like look at the the entire UK as like this sort of um like pinnacle, like I don't know, like this sort of like
Like put it on a
like
pedestal.
yeah, put on the pedestal. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And so like when I said, oh, I got a job in UK, they're like, oh shit, like yeah, fucking go. And then
Oh, right, right.
before, when I didn't know, what I didn't realize was the job I got was working at this really, really, really prestigious like prep school. A prep
Mm.
school is essentially like primary school for them. So
Okay.
it's like from kindy all the way up to like year year eight. And then yeah, it was just this prestige. And then so like because it was such a prestigious school, I was working crazy hours as well. And I was on top of that, I was living on campus,
Oh, right, yeah, yeah.
which was great financially because I was saving so much money, like so much money. But and also like um like all the teachers, all the other teachers like driving to school and they're like fuck the traffic or whatever. I'm like bloop 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 walking down with a cup of coffee. I'm like, hey guys, like you know,
Just
I don't,
rock up.
yeah, just basically. But the downside for that was that I was never able to like clock off. So I think for what
Mm.
and I realized that was such an important thing for me mentally was that the like driving away or physically be away from your office or the work space that you're there all the time like was so important to me because you can mentally go, oh, I need to do, oh, it's fine, I can't do this anymore, oh, I've got to do this, oh, it's fine, it's I can't, unless I go to the office or unless if I do that, it's fine, but if I can't do that then like I can only do it tomorrow or after the weekend or whatever. But whereas like when I was living at the campus at the school, you know, this is like Friday afternoon, so all the kids are gone, all the teachers are gone, and then like basically like the headmaster would be gone as well, and I'm still in my
Mm.
office just getting shit done for the next week.
Mm.
And then I'm like, it's not that I am, I wasn't trying to, um, I'm not a workaholic. I'm no by no means a workaholic, but like it was almost like, it would be like, oh, I need to get this material sorted by next week, but I can still do it next week. But I can do
Mm.
it now, or I can do it now, or I can just do it now. And then
Yeah.
so it'd be like, oh, I can do task A now anyway. Might as well do task B. Oh, I've done task B. Oh, I might as well do task C. And it just sort of goes on and on and on. And then by the time I look up, it's like 8 o'clock. I'm like, oh shit, I've worked 14 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Because I would
That's
get to,
insane.
so I would walk downstairs to the office at 6 o'clock sometimes. So my longest hours I ever worked was 14 hours because I
That's crazy.
I had a band I had to get ready at 7, so I had to go downstairs, set everything up, and it was only me, so I had to make sure like the sound was working, and because they were like primary school kids, so they were all trying to like, you can't expect them like you expect high school kids to like grab chairs or grab stands and things like that.
Mm.
So you had to set
Yeah.
everything up for them. So I was running like this. I think it was like 25 student orchestra that was happening on one of the mornings. So it starts at 7. So my routine would be like go downstairs, make the blackest coffee you can ever I can like you could ever see. It's just so it's just I'm like uh no sugar, no milk, and I'm just walking downstairs and I'm just like go into the room like with the coffee and just like grabbing a chair and just like as I'm drinking, and I would like sometimes even put music on in the rehearsal space, and I just like start stacking, getting the chairs ready for and then get everything ready for 7. So I
Mm.
would start at 6 and then all the way, and then like there was one time where there was this massive concert happening, and then I was just going like, oh fuck, there's just so much to do next week. I might as well just get some stuff done. And I just
Yeah.
sat there, and then like I looked up, and it was like 8 o'clock. Like I literally worked. I literally went downstairs because it was British weather. So British weather during winter, it's like you see very little sunlight, which I realized how
Oh, okay.
depressing that it was. It was so fucking depressing.
Really?
I'm going on a rant right now. Just bear with me. But it was just so I would go downstairs 6 a.m. be pitch black. Well, not pitch black, but like there was no sun yet. Everything was still misty and cloudy. I'm like, oh fuck. And then I would keep working until like I look up. I'm like, oh shit, where's the sun? Oh, it's already obviously because it's already gone. Because sun would rise at about like 9:30, and it would be setting at about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Oh my god, that's insane.
Yeah, and then and and I looked up and I was like, oh, it's 8 o'clock, and I like literally like that cartoon like posture when they're like really sad, and I literally did that. I'm just like walking up, and then I had it, and I just like
Oh
sat in the
no.
shower, and then like I just started crying. I just started like tearing up. I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
I don't want to do this anymore because
That's too overwhelming.
it was overwhelming, and it just made me realize like maybe teaching isn't something I really want, because if I'm like basically like movie crying in a shower like by myself in this massive school, like then I definitely don't. It's not something I
It's not
definitely.
something that makes you happy.
It doesn't. It's not something that makes
Yeah.
me happy. Teaching makes me happy to a degree, but after that, my brain just starts shutting off. But
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I don't know. Maybe you've got some similar stories like that, but it was just something that like it was very vivid to me even to this day where I'm like, yeah, I
Mm.
definitely like don't want to do that.
Like the moment you
Yeah, you
like
knew.
realize, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like
But yeah, but what was your so what going back to you now? What are you doing now? Like, are you just continuing working? Are you trying to like make? Are you trying to? Let me rephrase that. Sorry. Are you trying to be full time YouTube, or are you
yeah,
trying to be?
emphasis on the try. So I am. I'm trying very hard. Because kind of like what you were saying, like teaching is satisfying to a degree, but I find that like creating or like having creativity is really important to me,
Mm, yeah.
which
Okay.
is like something I can do with YouTube.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
then, but I mean, like you're like I don't know much about that entire like industry, but like
Yeah.
it seems to me like you're already pretty like successful to a degree. Like, am I wrong?
I mean, it might seem like
You
that
got a
from
couple million views.
the
Like,
numbers.
come on, guys.
But yeah, it seems like it, but like at the end of the day, it's still like, money because
Mm,
it's just practical, right?
yeah.
Yeah. So that's still an issue for me
Have
when
you got
using
like
YouTube.
diehard fans that like are like whatever you do, we're gonna watch it every single time. Like,
I'm I'm starting to get like a small group of them. Yeah,
yeah.
which is good. Which is good.
Within our community or like somewhere like completely random.
No, most of my fans are from Indonesia and United States.
Really interesting.
Yeah, that's what it tells me. Yeah.
Indonesia.
From the Naruto video. Young
Oh,
Indonesian guys.
oh, young Indonesian guys.
Yeah.
Oh, you must get hit on the DMs all the time.
No, actually not really. They're all weaves just commenting on my Naruto video being like, this is the feels or something. So it's
At least you're
yeah.
not doing those like you're not doing those hand signs.
Oh, you mean from the Naruto?
Yeah.
I've done it before in a different Naruto video.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I
I've only
have.
watched the one that you got like that top, that massive like
Yeah,
view.
the one that got viral.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
okay. At least I don't know. I can just put that bandana on and just start doing some fucking like fire style or whatever.
There's a video, like a really early video of me where I edited in like shadow clones. So there's like three of me.
Oh, that's smart.
I like do the hand sign and then there's like two other ones pop up.
Excuse me. It's this way. It's this way. Okay. It's the left
Alright,
hand
it's this
down.
way.
It's a left hand down. Okay. Come on. Get your shit together.
Who's the actual weeb?
What a fucking nerd here.
It was you all along.
What does weeb mean
Yeah.
anyway? I've only heard you say. I've never heard other people say it before.
Weeb.
Is it just like
Really?
a? Is that just like a nastier
It
version
stands
of
for
nerd?
it stands for weeaboo. It's like
Excuse me.
it means it stands for weeaboo.
Weeaboo. What's that?
Yeah, it's like when it's hard to explain. You know there's like white guys that like
I know some white
watch
guys. I've seen some white guys.
anime that like really into Japanese culture
Yeah.
and then they'll like, start speaking like Japanese like they think they're Japanese.
Yeah.
That's weeaboo.
Is that like a Japanese word for them?
No, no, no. I think it's a maybe American because you can say it with Korea, like you know stuff with like K-pop as well. Like people call them Korea boos.
God, that sounds really. That sounds really.
Yeah, it's a
Uh.
K-pop version.
Does that see? Because I was talking to a friend the other day, actually, about this particular topic, where um she was saying that she finds it extremely unsettling and just downright like weird when when a doesn't have to be a white guy, but just when one person has a very very specific type. So she used the typical like the
Oh,
white guy as an example. So she was saying like, so she said, I find it extremely weird and like just uh pedophile ish, not pedophile. What's the word? Like perverted,
like a it,
pervert ish,
some kind of fetish, right?
like a fetish. Yeah, when a white guy only goes for like Asian girls. And then my argument to that was, but wouldn't that be the same thing if someone like me, an Asian guy that only goes for white girls, which I
I
generally
see it all
do?
the time, though.
Yeah. But she was
I see
saying like
that
she
all the
finds it
time.
extremely, extremely weird and like pervertish, like sort of like really pervert. She thinks it's like the guy has some weird fetish, like oh yeah, I just want that Asian exotic girl, yeah. And
Maybe.
I was like, yeah, maybe. So she was saying like she would never be friends with them or something. But yeah, I don't
I
know. Do you
haven't
do you
met
find it weird?
anyone. I haven't really given it much thought.
Yeah.
Um, I don't know anyone like that personally.
Yeah.
I guess like if they were like really like only that one type, I guess it's a bit weird. Like if it's a preference, then I get it. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Exactly. Sorry, I think I cut out just then. I'm
Okay.
like trying to fix it. But yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. I think that was an hour, roughly an
it
hour.
is
All right.
roughly.
Well, thank you everyone for if there's actually anyone listening to this, I really appreciate you. If not, I'm still gonna fucking do this every single time. I don't know. I'm trying to do this every single
It's been
week.
good.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna
good.
try and do this every single week and try and like make a habit of like record something with someone at least once a
Mm.
week. I'm like trying to like I'm trying to like send out like little like bait. I'm like, oh, are you interested? Do you like listen to podcasts? Like, do you like this? If you like it, do you want to try it? Do you want to just get in? Do you want to just talk for like an hour?
It's just
Because
talk.
it just talk. Like I don't know. I like this sort of thing. And then, like I said to you in the beginning, like I really like the way some of the big podcasts comedians do it. Like so, for example, like Joe Rogan. Like I just
Oh
love it
yeah,
how
yeah.
he
He's
just
pretty
goes
cool.
he just goes boom, and then they're just talking, and then like when he I think maybe when he feels like the conversation is coming to an end, he finishes. But like it goes for like 2 hours, 2.5 hours, and then when he has his friends over, like I think he's got like his like really really like genuine like close friends over on his podcast when they're just talking about everything, anything. It goes for like 3 hours, and I'm like, and I'm listening to it. I'm the fucking like
Yeah, you'd like it.
dude that listens to it every single time, and I just love it because they would talk. Yeah, so this is sort of the style I want to go with.
Yeah,
Um,
that's pretty cool.
I don't know. We'll try. We'll try and see if this works. And I mean, like, I think there was probably a couple times where my parents' voice got caught into the microphone. Hopefully not, but I don't know.
I don't, not really. Like
We'll
I
see.
couldn't make out anything, but yeah.
But anyway, thank you very much, everyone, for listening to the first podcast that I have just recorded with the lovely Tony. Um, she's on
My
YouTube as well.
pleasure.
Her YouTube is youtube.com/Flutecookie.
Flutecookies, something like that.
COOKIES.
Yes, yeah.
So multiple cookies. So get them cookies, okay? Get
Yes.
them cookies. All right. Thank you very
I have
much.
a fandom name now that my fans chose for me.
What is it?
Flookies.
Flukies.
Yes.
That sounds dope. Get involved,
So
guys.
yes, get involved.
Alrighty
Join the
then.
Flookies
Thank you very much, guys.
community.
Bye.